Okay, now it says we're live. I pushed the button a second ago and it told me there was an error and I almost had a heart attack. So luckily now it's saying that we're live. So hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Michelle Solis with This Must Be Ink. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Seekonk, Massachusetts. So tonight I am coming to you to show you a what did I call it? Pleated panel card. I'm not sure what else to call it, but it's got this little pleated panel on the front of it. And I'm going to show you the scoring for that and show you how to put that together. But first and foremost, let's take a sip. Hi, Sharon. Take a sip of whatever you brought tonight. I am drinking Fisher's Lemonade. This is one of my favorite summer drinks, and I've got my crazy straw tonight because I don't know, I just felt like it's summer. It's hopefully going to be summer. And we're going to get to drink Fisher's Lemonade with fun straws and decorations in our drink. Okay. Summer's always a time for fun cocktails. Okay, so I know that you guys have been seeing a lot of stuff in the new catalog. All the demos have been showing new stuff, new stamp sets, new dies, new in colors. So that is all from the new annual catalog that just came out on May 6th. If you have not received a copy of this catalog, I did send it to customers that had shopped with me in the past years, but if you did not receive a copy of this catalog, please let me know. Message me here or go to my website and sign up for my email. You can email me. Let me know that you need a copy of the catalog, and I am happy to ship it to you. And who knows, I might put a little present inside there. So if you need a catalog, please let me know. All right, sit that down here. Okay, so I think that's all I had to tell you before we get started. So let's turn the camera down here. Here we go. All right, let's bring this down so we can see what we're doing. And straighten it out a little bit. Oh, I always go the wrong way. There we go. All right, so, well, I don't know. Here, this might be better. All right, that's better. Okay. All right, so the card that I showed as my sample was this one. And this was made with the perennial lavender paper that was a carryover from last year's catalog. It's come back again for this year's catalog, and I'm so glad because I love this paper. So this is the perennial lavender designer series paper that I used, and then I used the Pretty Florals stamp set to create these little lilacs. Well, I'm calling them lilacs. And I cannot remember where Just a Note came from. Sorry. But that's how I created this card. So we are going to do this tonight. We're going to create this little panel and put it on the front of our card. So you don't have to use just florals for this type of a card. Tonight I'm going to make this card with the Turtley Cute DSP. All right, so this designer series paper, I didn't think I liked this turtle when I first saw him, but he's growing on me. Or she. Maybe this is a she. I'm not sure. Anyway, this paper is really adorable. It's got some beautiful, what I would call the B sides of the paper. The A side is all these little turtles. You can see I cut her out of this paper here. And then the other sides are these really fun, really bright prints that could be used for any type of a card, birthday, just anything, just super pretty for the spring and summer. So tonight we're going to use some designer series paper from Turtley Cute. And then we've got some cardstock. So for your card base, you're going to need a piece that's 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to score this at 4 1/4. You're going to have a mat that's going to go on the front of your card that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Then you've got a piece of designer series paper that will fit on that. It's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So then for your panel that goes behind your pleated panel, you're going to want a piece of cardstock, and that is going to be 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I couldn't decide tonight which color to use. So when we get there, we'll decide which color to use. And then your panel for the pleated front is going to be 4 by 7 inches, and we're going to score that. Okay. And then of course you need a piece for inside your card. This is basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, but you don't have to write down all those directions and scoring. You won't have to write it all down. I will tell you at the end of the video how you can get all those measurements. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is score my card base. And this is, as I said, 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to score it at 4 1/4. So we're going to use our scoring blade here and score that. And then I'm just going to put that right up in the corner of my trimmer to make sure I've got that perfectly lined up and straight, and that it's coming together at the end there. Okay, so that's my card front. And on your card front, we're going to put our panel, cardstock panel. Get our glue going here. Oops. So I'm using Balmy Blue for my card base, and this is Flirty Flamingo for my cardstock panel on my card. And then I've got my designer series paper panel with these really bright stripes. It was hard to decide what color cardstock to use with this designer series paper. All these colors are so pretty. I decided to go with some pink and blue. Okay, so that is going to be the front of my card. Okay, so then we're just going to create our pleated panel. So again, you've got a piece that's 4 by 7. We're going to score that. I am going to bring in my my scoring tool, but you can also do this with your trimmer if you have a trimmer and you want to use that instead. But I find I make better score lines, more consistent score lines with my scoring tool. So I'm going to use my scoring tool and my stylus here. I'm going to use the small end for this, and we are going to score this panel with the 7-inch side up at the top of the scoring tool. And we're going to score the first score line at 1/2 inch. So we're going to just go 1/2 inch. And then we're going to go 1 inch. Then we're going to go to 2 inches and 2.5. Then we're going to do 3.5 and 4. Hopefully you can see the pattern going here. And then 5, 5.5, and then 6.5. Okay, so we're going to take that back out of our scoring tool. All right, so now you've got, it's hard to see on here, but you've got your score lines. The very first score line, you want to do a mountain fold. So we're going to fold that little panel back. The next one, we're going to do valley fold. So essentially we are doing an accordion fold all the way down. So now we're going to do mountain on the next one, valley on the next one, then mountain, then valley, then mountain, then a valley, and then mountain. So when you're done, you should be able to pull this together and get this panel that is pleated like that. Okay, so just as long as you start with a mountain fold with the first one, you just alternate every other score line. So mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain. And you will get this scored panel like that. So this will then crunch down and become your pleated panel. Okay, now you notice I didn't use my bone folder with this. You really don't want to. You want it to be kind of loose, and you just want to smooth it with your finger is enough pressure to keep that the way that you want it. Now what we're going to do in order to keep these pleats real pretty on your card and so that they don't get crunched in the mail, we're going to add some dimensionals. So on the first, let's grab some dimensionals here. On this first fold, we're going to fold this back. We're going to put a dimensional on the top, on the middle, and on the bottom. So that's this first fold. Fold it back. You're going to put your dimensionals here. Take the backs off. And then you're going to fold that over. So that's going to make a nice pleat there. You can see your dimensionals are inside here. So we're going to do the same thing with the next pleat. Just fold it back. Put your dimensionals, top, middle, and bottom. And then fold that over. And you'll get that second pleat. Third one the same. Fold it back. Top, middle, and bottom. And then fold that back over to make your third pleat. Then you'll have the fourth one. Top, middle, and bottom. And fold that back over to make that last pleat. Okay, so it will kind of roll up on you. That's fine. You should have all your pleats stuck down now. Now you've got this little flap at the beginning. We're going to put some dimensionals in there as well. So we're going to just lift that up and put some dimensionals here as well. A little turtle peeking out at me here. And then just fold that over. And then on the other end, you've got this last little fold here. We're going to put dimensionals on that as well. So I'm just going to flip it over and do the same thing, top, middle, and bottom. and then stick that down. So now you should have this panel, and all the ends should be stuck down, and all your panels should be stuck down. So it's a nice little piece. Okay, that is then going to go on your panel. And let's decide which color we like here. So do we want to put it on the pink? This is Flirty Flamingo, which matches the cardstock we used here. Or should we put it on the blue? It gives it a little bit more contrast, and that matches the card base. I don't know. I think they're both pretty. Maybe I'll use the pink just because she's got a lot of pink with her little hair thing. Do you guys have one of these for your hair? I have one that's called I think it's called a turby, some kind of a turban. It's just adorable. All right, so let's use the Flirty Flamingo. So now to attach this to your panel, you're going to want some really good adhesive. You can use Stampin' Seal if you'd like. You could use liquid glue, but the liquid glue is messy because you're going to need to put it on your each panel here, and then to manhandle it and get it onto your cardstock panel, you can get a little messy. So what I've decided is the best is tear and tape. So what I have done is I'm taking tear and tape. I'm going from the top of this panel all the way across these panels. And then I'm just going to tear it at the end there. And we're going to put a few pieces all the way across. And if you're using your seal, you do the same thing, go all the way across. I'm being ultra cautious here tonight while I'm doing this. I don't know if I've put this much on the other one that I made. Okay, so you just want to go all the way across your panels, get all your pleats in there. Then you will take off your backing paper. And of course, the trickiest part of this is now it's super, super sticky. So it's got very little borders around the edge. So you want to just kind of hover over your cardstock so you can line it up and hopefully get it fairly centered there. Okay, so now we've got our little panel that we can add to the front of our card. Make sure my card is opening the right way. Yep. And we can just glue this down now with your favorite adhesive. And just center that up. Okay, so then we just want to put a little sentiment on the front. So I forgot a piece for my sentiment. Let's grab one here. I'm going to use some sayings from the Cheers and Sips, since my little turtle is enjoying a cocktail here. I'm going to use the Cheers and Sips. So I've got It's Your Day, Let's Celebrate, and Cheers. So on the front, I think I'm going to put It's Your Day. And let's see, what should we stamp it in? Maybe the Flirty Flamingo. We need to find the ink. Here we go. We'll do It's Your Day. And then it's teeny tiny. So I'm going to just cut that out with my snips. It's your day. Maybe I'll put 2 on there. Let's celebrate on the inside. I mean, I'm going to use cheers. We'll use cheers on the inside and maybe let's celebrate as well on the outside. Now, I hesitate to do too many sentiments or too much on your panel because you don't want to hide all the pleats that you just worked so hard to create. So we'll do It's Your Day, Let's Celebrate. How's that? All right, so to get my little turtle on here, I'm just going to use some dimensionals. And I think just a little dimensional on her little cocktail there. It looks like she's having a very relaxing spa day. There we go. And then we've got some little dimensionals for our sentiment. Let's celebrate. So in other words, I want to join you at the spa. Hint, hint. Okay. And then inside, we can do our sentiment cheers. There we go. And we can get that inside. I think the only thing I forgot to bring was some blank. So we can look and see what we've got here. I've got some 2025 to 2027 in color pearls. And that is Strawberry Slush, but I think it might just work with my Flirty Flamingo. We're going to make it work. I don't want to put it right on the polka dot paper because I feel like it'll just disappear. So we'll put them over here on the stripy paper. I love it when they give you 3 different sizes in your color. That makes me happy. All right, so there you go. Here's my little card for tonight. My pleated panel card with the Turtley Cute Designer Series paper. This little turtle just came right out of that paper. I fussy cut that. And that's a perfect little card for a celebration, birthday, anniversary, etc. Okay, so let me show you some of the other ones that I made. Here's the sample. It's the one we did tonight. So I also made one with the Impressions of Bloom stamp set. This one, I actually used the Impressions of Bloom dies, this little die, to cut these little white flowers. And then I used the Floral Impressions Designer Series paper for the background and for this panel with some Fresh Freesia and Misty Moonlight cardstock for that one. And then the last one I did was this one for a graduate. So this one was using the Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper with some gold foil accents. And these are just some very old gold star dies that I had. But this sentiment and the image comes from the Cap and Gown stamp set. And that can still be found on the website. So here's all of the hard work was worth it on the inside. Okay, so that is it for me tonight. Hopefully you liked that that card, and maybe you will give it a try. All right, so let's get back out of here. There we go. All right, so that's it for me tonight. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Oh, Sharon, I'm glad you liked the Cap and Gown one. That was one I threw together at the last minute, so I'm glad you like it. Okay, so that's it for me. If you would like the instructions for the card, you can go to my blog, which is thismustbeink.com. You can find that on my website, or you can sign up for an email. Every Wednesday, I put out the directions and instructions for the card I did the previous Friday. So thanks for joining me. If you've got a wish list, by the way, for from the annual catalog or from the online exclusives that you have been seeing, and it's more than $99, then you guys should think about doing the joining deal. So for $99, you will receive $165 of free merchandise. Any merchandise that you would like, you can put in your starter kit, and I would love to have you on my team. So if you're thinking about doing an order and it's over $100, you really should think about the joining deal. You get free shipping and you get $165 worth of merchandise for $99. Who doesn't want extra free stuff? So any questions about that, certainly give me, send me a message or an email, or you can find me online. Just ask a question. All right, so that's it for me tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and you will come back next week, the 23rd, and join me again. Okay? Meantime, everybody stay cool this weekend. Enjoy your weekend and stay crafty, my friends.